Evening, everybody. Welcome to the Borderline Podcast with me, your host, Andrew Willox. And tonight, guys, I'm back on for another solo cast to cover just about everything and anything, to be quite honest with you. For those of you that's listened to A Year to Reflect, I'd like to say thank you very much. Honestly, I know that quite a few of you have as well, and that means the absolute world to me. I hope you guys really enjoyed that episode. And as well, if any of you did give Meditate with me a go, hope it helped you. A little bit different. So tonight, like I say, we're just going to cover just about everything. But before I do, I'm going back to meditate with me for a second. Before I start this episode, something that I'm going to do on solo casts, or going to try and do on solo casts going forward, is just do a little bit of interaction with you guys, whoever's listening. And let's just take 30 seconds or so just to acknowledge how we're feeling today. Ask yourself, how are you doing? Maybe nobody has today. I'm sure somebody has asked you how you're doing. Whether you gave them an honest answer or not, that's completely up to you. But now's your time just to be completely honest with yourself, and it's absolutely okay to be. So, shall we continue? Yes. So yeah, I'm on tonight. Obviously, A Year to Reflect was kind of like looking back. So getting back into solo casting again, into how kind of the now has obviously been at the forefront of my mind. So yeah, I just want to, it's a bit hard getting back into this. I'm not going to lie. It's been a weird summer. It's been a long time since I've came on and done a proper solo podcast. Let's put it this way. April times, something like that. So yeah, it's been a long time, and obviously we've had a busy P season, and like I put on an Instagram post today, something that I'm going to talk about on this episode as well, is kind of my appetite. Not been getting back into the gym, and that hasn't really helped me, but it did kind of help not going for a while, and I'll explain that. And kind of that ties in with how I am. Gets back open these honest, open conversations about mental health, which dismantle stigmas, and that's what I want to do. So, yeah, it's been a weird summer, a really bizarre pre-season, and I'm not here to talk about work, certainly not. And yeah, basically halfway through it looked abysmal, really worrying, really worrying. And then it turned itself around and actually came really good at the end. But because it came good so long at the end, it just went on for fucking ever. It's just totally thrown me off. Like in my head, I was early September, and that was me. You know, I was happy. I was, yes, still get a little bit of the old summertime, but no, we went into October. So did we go into October? Yeah, I think we did just go into October. So that's frightening. It's twice that's happened. Let's hope it never happens again. And this was my own decision during the season as well. It's nothing that work would respect it regardless. I'm just here to talk about my mental health, and it does fit in with that. Dodgy area that I did come across during the season was obviously my mirtazapine, because mirtazapine is a nighttime, and I do night shifts, and then I do day shifts, and I do night shifts. So if you know shift work, you know that eventually your body clock just goes, what are you doing to me, and you're kind of in that autopilot space for a bit. And I was really wary about the fact that mirtazapine has that very powerful sedative effect on me. It wouldn't be very responsible of me to be in charge of a pea factory with a load of people and a load of machinery, and me taking 30 milligrams of mirtazapine at night. So what I ended up doing was splitting my doses. But when I split my doses, I'm sure many of you that will know me, my memory is terrible. I was forgetting. And then when you forget, you get the symptoms and the side effects kind of dripping in slowly. Or at least that's what I find with mirtazapine, that 24 hours after, if you've forgotten it, NAFL. But then there was times that was obviously going into like 36 hours, 48 hours. And that didn't feel very good. The aches started coming back. The anxiety is bad when you don't have the mirtazapine, which is a bit odd, because a conversation that I was having before the summer with the doctor was actually about coming down on mirtazapine. So this is kind of open my eyes a little bit to say that's probably not the best idea for now. And no, I'm happy where I'm at on my medication, to be honest. There is potential of going on to a little bit of citalopram in the morning. This is going to tie in where I'm going to go next with this conversation. Just to give me a little bit of boost. Like I said earlier in the year, I was struggling really quite bad. Luckily, we're past that, and like I said, I'm kind of past the worst of it. But a symptom, and this is where the citalopram comes in, a symptom that I cannot get rid of for the life of me is intrusive thoughts. And they are been fine today. It's been an odd day. They've been fine today. I think it's probably easier. Nisha's on the camera if this is going to pick it up. I think it's probably easier if I explain to you, for maybe people that don't really know what I mean by an intrusive thought. I've got to try and demonstrate for you what that is. And we all, me and you, maybe even Nisha, get self-talk, right? We talk to ourselves constantly when there's nobody else there to talk to. Well, not constantly, but we can converse with ourselves. And there's times that I'm sure many of you, probably every single one of you listening or watching, has been, in the shower, driving a car, lying in bed, and then randomly you're having this hypothetical fight with somebody at work, perhaps, that never happened and probably never will happen. And you kind of get that, well, why am I thinking of that? Why am I thinking of that? That is kind of like an intrusive thought. Apart from the intrusive thought for me is damaging. It's not that argument. It stems into that. It can manifest from that, but it exposes a lot of what I'm so insecure about. I think that's the best way of putting it to myself. It shows its insecurities to me as a voice, and it's in my head, and it's not like a schizophrenic voice, just like that self-talk voice. So, I can be stood there having a cigarette in the morning, absolutely fine, thinking about how my day's going. I'm going to do this. I'm going to do a podcast. Nobody's going to listen to the podcast. Why the fuck would they listen to the podcast? Someone like that will just flip into my head. And that obviously gives you kind of like over time. And it just gets a little bit relentless. It adds up and it adds up. And that has been the exhausting point. That's still happening quite bad. So that's where the citalopram possibly is going to come in with that. But I was not going to go into citalopram during what I was going through in mirtazapine during the pieces, and I think that was pretty good. Good thumbs up for Andrew there. It wouldn't have been a good route to go down. So yeah, intrusive thoughts, they're horrible. They are absolutely horrible. There's no other way of saying it. I don't know. Well, no, because I used to have they've always been the worst like symptom of anxiety or depression, whatever you want to call what that manifests from. I guess it's anxiety. That's the way that I understand it with myself. This spiritual journey that I'm going on. The way I see it is, I'm obviously holding on or exposed to a lot of anxiety. That's the way that my body's reacting. And if I can't get that anxiety out, if I know it's there and I'm containing it, that's great. But that has to go somewhere eventually. And that's where I believe it goes. It's just that you've got so much tension in your body that then all of a sudden, it can't take control of that bit. So it has a little go at your head instead. And that for me is where the intrusive thoughts come from, because there has been times over the summer that I have had weird fits of anxiety attacks as well. I mean, nothing really too bad. They've always seemed to happen down at the co-op as well, which is really bizarre, like I said last time. So they haven't been too fun. But other than that, yeah, other than that, we're all singing, all dancing, I guess. Sorry, I've got some notes down here. Like I say, the production on the Borderline podcast is stellar. It's at an all-time high right now. And so the number one intrusive thought that I'm getting just now, again, we're on a roll with the way this narration's going, is that it's exposing insecurities of me that I haven't had for a long time. And that is, when I was growing up, I've always been an incredibly skinny guy, okay? And I never let people ever know that it bothered me, but it used to really bother me. And that's why I got into the gym. There's no other way around it. That's why I started going to the gym. Is that I was sick of being who I was. I didn't look at myself and I didn't think, oh, you're anything at all. God, that's so depressing, but it's true. And so I got to the gym, and I've always been like, putting the Instagram post today, I've always been a bit of a hard gainer. I found it notoriously hard to put on weight. I've got really quite fast metabolism. I had my thyroid and that check, and it was fine. And so I've always found it quite hard to put on weight and to hold that weight as well. And the intrusive thoughts just now, yeah, because I've been eating great and I've lost a lot of weight. Like there's no way of hiding against that. I've lost a lot of weight. That yeah, the intrusive thoughts, they're attacking me in that way that I can play playing guitar, and then all of a sudden I'm trying to remember lyrics or I'm trying to remember how to play the song, and then all of a sudden this voice is going in my head saying, "Look how fucking skinny your arms are. You know, you used to be bigger." You know, something like that, and it's just so intrusive. Would you believe? And you know, it's just shit like that. It's been coming back, so it has been on my mind to get back to the gym and to start eating again. But that's been hard when all this is going on as well. Like it's like um, this sounds stupid, but it doesn't sound stupid. It's honest. It's like I wasn't ready to go back to the gym. I wasn't ready like to go and train again. I was enjoying the time off because I selectively took the time off in the P season to focus on sleep because that's where I've been going wrong for years. And you know, not to disregard the gym, and absolutely amazing to you if you can hack it out. But when you're only getting 2 or 3 hours sleep after a night shift, I'm not going to go and want to go train. That was fine for me this year. You know, I accepted that at the start. That was just like, you know, any spare time, you sleep because that is where I go wrong most of the time, and that's where the insomnia kicks back in. So I was always really, really, really wary of that, and I think just now it's like I'm pushing myself back in, and it's trying not to put too much pressure on myself because I want to get back, and I do want to get back, but it feels it's just now that I have to get back because I have to get back to stop this stupid fucking voice going off in my head all the time. You know what I mean? And you know that's again rather intrusive on your life. So yeah, so we got back to the gym today. So and I actually felt really good. I actually went back to the gym last week, but I was only there once, and then it was it was my first leg day in like 14 weeks, and then I forgot my fucking car keys in the office, which was then locked. So I had to walk home, and it's not like my house is other side of Eyemouth. And then I had to walk back up with a dog. Wonder why I get intrusive thoughts calling myself an idiot. So you know the gym is been a staple for my mental health. It always has been. It's been rooted in there because it was a place that I could go to escape and grow and not be who I at times felt ashamed to be. It's always been there as just a cornerstone to my life, and it's somewhere that I can always go. So it's really, yeah, it's a confusing time. It's a confusing time for me. I guess that's the best way of putting it. It's like I know that I love it, but it's just now it's just so much, and so I'm taking it day by day. But what I am going to do is try and just start eating more in general because my appetite has been all out of whack with the shifts, like I said, and up and down the meds and whatnot. It hasn't been good. And yeah, and during that time at work, you know, you're not doing less than 20,000 steps in a day. It's impossible to do less in that job. It really, you're talking up and into the 25s to 30s pretty much continuously. So you know you're active and you're burning the calories and whatnot. So naturally, you know, you do lose weight that way. But I've been aware that I've just not been eating half as much as I should be. It's like, you know, the hunger pain's there, but just doesn't want to. And yeah, that's tough as well. So I do get it, and I know, you know, we talk about body dysmorphia. I hope I'm not being sexist when I say this. I think we tend to think about this dysmorphia too much from a female perspective, purely because not a lot of men talk about it. I think a lot of men, you know, I'm not going to say quite rightly, but I can understand why are embarrassed about the subject. It's, you know, we want to be the big guys. We want to be chauvinistic, no matter what way. We not chauvinistic, but we want to be macho guys. You know, no matter what way you look about it. So to go to the gym and then to admit that that's in your insecurities could be a bit polarizing, I guess. And I get it. I get why it's a hard one to go at, and that's why I'm trying to lead with this, you know, body dysmorphia. And I've always found that, you know, I've always compared myself to others. I've always looked at others and thought, you know, I just wish. And I've always trained hard. Like I've always been dedicated. Where we'll go eventually with this one, unfortunately. And I've always trained really, really, really hard. I've always been really dedicated, and I guess it's always angered me that I never got results as fast as other people as well. And it's fine to be jealous. It's stuff like that because you are putting a lot of work in for it. But again, it doesn't really help, does it? But you know, so I did get big eventually. I think the heaviest that I've ever been's been upwards of nearly 18 stone. We're just sitting just over 12 just now, so yeah, quite a whack considering this time. No, not this time, but a year past January, 18 months. We're still up at 17, so yeah, we've came down fast, too fast. And yeah, so I've always been a symptom to intrusive thoughts, and I've always been quite embarrassed about how I look. Yeah, look, that's the way I'm going to say. That's the honest way of saying it. And anybody that goes to the gym and questions why they can't get bigger, and I'm not going to say it so, well, I'm going to say it so flippantly. Actually, like, if you're a guy and you've been going to the gym for a couple of years, there's a very high chance at some point you've thought about using peds. Okay, let's have a drink, because this is where we're going to go down a silly rabbit hole at that. So you probably have thought, my God, I wonder if I could get massive. But you can if you do peds. But I'm not here to big up peds. I'm certainly not here to talk them down. I've done a slight conversation on this stuff before, 2 times maybe. One time I got a rant, and then that scared me off. And then every time I think it was just to come back on about said rant. So yeah. So no, I'm not here to big them up, and I'm not here to downplay them. I'm just to tell you how the fuck they are, straight down the middle, as open as I can be. So, like I say, I was pretty dedicated to the gym. And what I mean by dedicated is, 4 or 5 times a week, every week. You do your deload, perhaps. Even that, there would be cardio filled in or something. I didn't miss the gym. Like, in years, I did not miss the gym. That, like I say, that is a staple in my life that I just did not miss. Didn't matter what was on. A workout would be had if it was on schedule for me. I was really, 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 thorough with it. And I do this a lot, don't I? Do it at work too. The bloody Romanians love it. They're always doing that to me. Like, you date it once and then they always do it. Yeah, so we I honestly I can't think of dates now off the top of my head. But I would say, let's just say for argument's sake, I first joined the gym like properly in 2010. That would have been down at the pool gym. And then I think I would have moved up to the sweatshop around about 2011. I think 2012, something like that. So, and then, yeah, like I say, I was pretty much at it from the get-go. It just took me a long time to really understand exactly what I was doing. My form's still not great, but understand different bits of form and whatnot. Really get to grips with like a nice training schedule. You know how it works. I don't need to explain it if you go to the gym. And yeah, I think it was probably I'm going to say 2017, I think it was 2017. So I've been going for a good 5 or 6 years. And like I say, I was probably at this point, maybe around about 14 stone, something like that. I think, yeah, that'd be pretty accurate. And that was decent size, and it was, pretty strong. Yeah, then I decided to look into the route of steroids, because I wanted more, and I wanted more for what I was putting in as well. Because the gym costs money as well. I was, like I said, my nutrition was spot on too, and protein bars, powders, pre-workouts, creatine, they all add up the price. So you want, if you're paying the full package, you want the full package back. And I started to be fair to me, I am going to say this: I done my homework. I was just stupid, right? I was just so fucking stupid to keep on going with this. Sorry, my camera's blurring with that light behind. And but it's true, because what I'm going to say now, if you're listening and you haven't done steroids, and maybe you have thought about doing steroids, I'm going to tell you now, you will not do it once. It's impossible. It's not impossible. I'm telling you now, you're not going to do it. You're going to want to do it again, because it works. It does work. Let's not beat around the bush. You put on size and you put on strength, or you lose fat, depending on what you're doing. It does it faster, and it does it more effectively. And if you think for a second that you're strong-minded enough to say, I'm going to do it once, and then that's me for the rest of the life, having known that what you can do and what would normally take you 16, 20 weeks, you've just done in 6 to 8 weeks, and knowing that you could just do that again in another 6 or 8 weeks' time, you're going to go and do it again, trust me. So that I heed that warning. You're not going to do it once. So I done a lot of research, and I thought I'm only going to do it once. And I tell you what, I actually was scared off the very first cycle that I did. My first cycle lasted a couple of days, which was Dianabol, which was a horrendous first choice. If anybody knows anything about Dianabol, they call it a good introduction. It's a very extremely powerful steroid and a big bulker. And yeah, I took it for like 3 or 4 days and then threw them away because honestly, I got too scared. I thought I was going to die. You're talking about somebody with anxiety about this sort of stuff. It wasn't wise. And that's what I say, silly, silly, silly mistakes. And I think it's important to recognize at this point as well that I am actually in pretty good mental health. Or back then, I would have thought that I was. I was on medication for anxiety at the time, but generally was doing okay. And yeah, so I'd done that, and then I think I held off a couple of weeks, and then I'd done a little bit more research, and I found a drier, safer substitute for Dianabol was what you'd call its sister drug, Turinabol, which is dry. It's got a lower, now I can't quite remember this stuff. Is it a lower lower anabolic rating? Quite high anabolic rating, low androgenic rating. I think that could be right. Basically, you don't get as many side effects. You're not meant to, which I didn't. And to be honest with you, I just done an oral, which again shows how silly I was, because if anybody knows anything about this stuff, you know that you should be probably using a testosterone base with it at best, or just going testosterone solo, which I've never done. Again, idiot. And I have to say the results were really, really, really good. Not as good as probably what I had imagined. I think I probably before that cycle definitely anticipated looking more like Chris Bumstead just did at Olympia at the weekend. Really thought really thought it was going to work like that. No, don't be silly. But no, there was some good strength gains, and they stayed. That was the thing, they stayed. Again, having the kind of the drier choice. The PCT, which is the post cycle therapy, wasn't quite as brutal, I guess, is what I'd anticipated it to be. And I done blood work. Like I say, if you are ever going to go and do this, you have to go do blood work. If you're not going to do it, you shouldn't be doing it. Simple as, blood work flags anything for you before you make the decision to go on. It's a safety net for you there at the end of the day. And so I'd done that, and bloods were fine. Honestly, probably because I was younger as well. Testosterone really didn't flinch, and it dropped like slightly. And then I didn't do anything for. I honestly don't think I'd done another steroid for probably around about a year and a half. Definitely a year, because then I remember it was Anavar, and if anybody knows anything about Anavar, it's notoriously, what's the word that I use? What's the word that we could use for this? It ain't VAR. It ain't Anavar. It's really rare to get VAR, proper Anavar apparently in the UK. But from what I was told, this was reputable VAR. I can't quite remember the brand. Not that I would like to disclose it on here anyway. And yeah, so we went and we done an Anavar cycle, and again, results were really good. That was actually for a cut. They used it at a cut and actually ended up gaining muscle, which power of the VAR is quite hard to do, but not when you're on steroids. It's quite easy to do, and such is the magic of them. And again, not really many side effects. Again, blood works fine. Blood pressure is always fine. Maybe a couple of headaches, increased libido. That's about it. Honestly, that would be about it. And I think at that point, which is really, really, really annoying, is that I was in a really, really good state of mind to have to say this about Anavar. I can mind Anavar made me feel amazing as well. I don't know what it was. After it too, it really had this profound quite mark on me, I guess. Whether it was VAR or not is anybody's guess, but that's what you're told it is. And yeah, it done everything that I expected it to do plus more. And that was it. That was me. I was honestly at that point, I'd already made the decision. I wasn't going to do, if I was ever going to do it again, it was only going to be a testosterone cycle, and I was not ready to go and do a testosterone cycle. So that was it. And I was fine. And I didn't do anything until 2021 or 2022 again. And that was a SARM, which is a selective androgenic receptor modulator. Well done, I can actually still remember that. And I think that's what it's called. If not, I just made a tit of myself. And yeah, so the choice there was, actually, there was one that I missed out. So it was actually Ostarine, which Ostarine's actually really popular. Anyway, it's a lot of the ones that people, like your sports stars, get fucking, sorry, my hair's really annoying me. I don't know what's going on with it. It's bloody camera. And where was I? Yeah, a lot of the sports people, Mr. Pogba perhaps, get dubbed with Anavar. Very, very, very weak substance. That has to be noted. And this is the only reason why I went back on it, was actually, again, to try and help a little bit of weight loss. Because unbelievably, the skinny guy was now upset about being overweight. And again, you go back to intrusive thoughts, and they're hard to escape when you've got these insecurities about your body and they're exposing themselves to you. So again, the fast action there was go and hop on something. I just realized that I remembered something that was incredibly important, but there's actually no point going back because it's just not going to fit in. But the look was worth it. And I didn't really actually do Ostarine for very long at all, 45 weeks, if that. It started giving me quite bad headaches. And at that, I was just like, you know what, it's actually not worth it. Because I wasn't really, honestly, I wasn't like, I say I was uncomfortable. I wasn't that bothered as what I had been. It kind of, I don't know, it's kind of like I talked myself into that far too easily. Didn't actually do blood work on Ostarine because it was so weak. From what I could research, people said there really wasn't much point. And I felt fine, libido wise, everything was fine. And from there, I don't know what it was, these SARMs were on my mind. And so I done a lot more research, watched lots more videos. Greg Doucette, he was one of, and Ryan Russo, Derek from More Plates, More Dates as well. They've got a lot of really good content on this sort of stuff. So I'd done my research, and I'd looked at a substance called Radwan. I shit you not, the strength results of that was fucking mind-blowing. Absolutely mind-blowing. But my days, did that come with some side effects as well. And I talk about back pain, like back pump. If anybody has done a PED before and you've experienced back pump, you'll know what I mean. I was rooted to the ground after sets. It's like horrible, horrible pain. But you ride it out because it's worth it, and this is what you're doing. You made the choice. And it has to be noted that probably around about this time is when I can really say that I think I've really first started feeling quite depressed, like properly depressed. And I think that was because of the choices that I was making were influencing that as well when I look back on it. That isn't who I ever envisaged myself being, 8 or 9 years prior. It isn't who I wanted to be, and it isn't what I wanted to be doing. And I'd let this voice win at the end of the day because I was trying to escape myself, and instead I became the opposite. What the voice was trying to tell me. It was trying to tell me to, to be bigger, and then I got bigger, and then it was always at me, and it was never worth it. And that's what I'm trying to mean by this. None of this was ever worth it. Like, I fucking guarantee you it wasn't. And yeah, probably around about that time, that's when I started feeling like really shitty about myself in the gym. And I don't know what it was. I think I just not that I was an arsehole every day. I just felt like an arsehole. I don't know what it was. I think I fell in love with training, but because it was so cemented into my routine, I had to be doing it. I had to go and prove to myself, and I had to keep on getting bigger. This is the thing. It's always in your head. Even when you're big, you got to slim down, and as soon as you get that little bit of fat, you're like, just get big again. That's what I was like. I was just get bigger, just start eating loads again. And yeah, that's why I've always said I've pretty much been on a 9-year bulk, maybe with a couple of weeks cutting in between. And it's so unhealthy, the eating habits as well. We're talking get up in the morning, have like a shake that's already got 1,000 calories in it, and 45 minutes later, I'm in a big old bowl of cereal with whole fat milk, maybe a protein yogurt. A couple hours later, a shake, and then a big old bowl of spag bol or something like that, and just over and over and over again on repeat. I could eat by the end of this. 4,000 calories a day was not a problem. It was never, ever, ever an issue for me to think that. Yeah, I've always got a good appetite. Mama made me some good cooking, and so that's all has always helped me with the bulk. But see, when you're depressed, you dare want to fucking eat, and you really don't want to. And so there was that conflicting as well at the time. So anyway, we done the Rad 41 cycle, the 141, the Rad 140 cycle. That was around about 8 weeks, and then I did put on a lot of size. But the crazy thing about Rad 140 is that you kept on putting size after the cycle because you held all your strength. It was mad, and please don't make me sound like I'm bigging that up. Going and do it. It was really quite unique, but it crashes your testosterone, and it gives you horrendous back pumps too, or it did with me. This was my first recognized time that it had quite a negative effect on my blood work. I don't know exactly number wise, but what they were. But I remember, I want to say it was probably sitting around about. So it's still in the okay end. This is what I'm trying to say. It wasn't in like super low end, but I want to say that we're talking around about low 500 for. But at the time, a 31-year-old guy, it's just getting down low. I think it actually might have been lower than that now that I've said the numbers. That doesn't sound right. Might have been a little bit lower. Anyway, it was recognizably different from the start of the cycle. Could have just said that from the start. And so we had the PCT, and to PCT you have to use another thing called Novadex, which I believe, or taxamorphin, I think that's what it's called. I believe that's actually for breast cancer patients originally, but this is what everybody uses in the bodybuilding world, I guess, to help kickstart their testosterone, which it did for me. Like it says, they don't come with very nice side effects. Either they make you quite emotional and chemically potentially imbalanced. That's the best way of putting that. Now, very key to this is that if you suffer from depression, there is a chance that your body fluids, your body chemicals might be slightly out of whack as well. They're not quite balancing correctly. So introduce this is not a good idea. Okay, take it from me. This is never a good idea. It never is. Your mind, even though it might be talking you into this because it's playing on you, it's not a good fucking idea. Okay, stop it. Don't do it. Not wise. But we go over that one. And then guess what fucking happened? Actually, I done really well. I didn't do anything for, pardon me, a while after 140. I still can't fucking say it. God, I'm doing a lot of swearing this last 20 minutes. Really relaxed, that's the thing. It's good though. And right, so I'm just going to fast forward to my very last one because this was the mother. And this is where I really need to focus in the mental health because I had never experienced probably what I would say is low testosterone symptoms when you're depressed is the end of the fucking earth. Trust me. I'm going to go on and explain this now. I want to get even bigger. Surprise, surprise. I want to get even bigger. This is when I'm around about 17 stone. 16 and a half stone. I'm thinking, right, I want to get up to 18 and a half stone. I really want to start lifting some really heavy weights. So I started a bulk. And I resisted the idea of using anything for a long time. And then I was gaining strength. Just, it's as I say, go back to 20 minutes ago, you do this once, you're going to keep on doing it. And I knew what was out there, and I knew there was other SARMs and other ways to do this. And I was very close to just going back on hindsight. If I was to do it right, well, hindsight, I would never fucking done it at all. Okay, but we haven't done that. Double hindsight, if I was to go back I would have slapped myself and given myself Rad 140 again. Or even worse, I would have given myself Austrian that gave me no side effects. Something like that. But preferably never at all. So I've done a little bit more research, and the one that fit the bill this time was a thing called Ligandrol, or LGD4033. Tell you what, honestly, eidetic memory up there, by the way. And yeah, this was because this was named like the Balkan SARM. This is the one that you put them on the beef, the buff, and it certainly did. It certainly did, because it earlier I talked about Turinabol being a dry substance. This is what we call a wet substance. So you hold the water in, oh, big old moon face comes out, which it did. And yeah, so started taking this, and I was, from what I've read about this, it's very fast, like bang, that's it. It's some of these kind of like take a couple of weeks to build up. This is, you'll start seeing it and you'll start noticing it quite from the offset. So, and that correctly so, about 2 weeks into the cycle, I am thinking, wow, like I feel like different. I feel different. Strength's gone up. Looking in the mirror, I'm thinking, you big, but you're big because you're holding on to all this water, you big bear. And yeah, I felt really good, and I was just like, yeah. And this is a very low dose as well, by the way. I ain't going to get into. I've never done dose specific for specific reasons that I don't want to sound too educational for anybody to go and do it. But this was a very low dose as well. Fuck me, it's a powerful SARM, really is. And probably week 2 into this felt really good. By week 2.5, felt fucking shit. Started getting really quite sore heads. And then that subsided after a couple of days. I thought, oh my God, thank God that's over with. And then, then we started getting a problem down there. And that's when I know that something was going quite over right, because I'll just say it now, everything else had done the opposite. Okay. This was not like, stop you in your tracks. Like, and I knew then that, oh no, like, no, it sounds like your testosterone is taking a humongous hit. And I kind of knew then, and in some ways I'm lucky because it was not actually a very long cycle, but I could almost feel where, nipples were getting a little bit itchy, estrogen's obviously rising in the body, things aren't right. Like I've said before, very depressed. Yeah, I would just fucking say it. I was very depressed at this time as well. This was not a good time in my life. I remember it was quite close to Christmas. This is the not too long before everything started going south last year. Okay, so it's not that long ago. Yeah, things started like really going downhill then, and I knew then that should have been the moment of being like, right, stop what you're doing. But I was just so obsessed to just continue it through and see it through, and just so naive, just so fucking stupid, thinking that I was more powerful than the substance. Not that I thought that, but you know what I mean, thinking that it's going to be fine. And yeah, it wasn't. And like I said, I purposely didn't go and get blood work halfway through that cycle because I did not want to know that answer. It made me feel horrible. It did make me feel very suicidal by the end of it. I would probably say, in a lot of honesty, that one alone has led to a lot of the insomnia that I suffer from today. I started getting quite bad insomnia during the cycle. So even if it wasn't that, the anxious side of me has that fixed in my mind. So it ain't ready to let go of that part yet, if that makes it, if you know what I mean. And yeah, it was a really, really terrible, terrible idea. Like I say, I guess I haven't been as unbiased as what I would have. Sorry, I'll start that again. I've not been as unbiased as what I thought I was going to be on the subject. I am very pro against. If you suffer from a mental health condition, I am very pro against, because unless you have the people around you that know you're doing this and they can support you, that's entirely different. If you're talking to me, don't mess with this stuff, okay? Keep on the natural. eat the food and lift heavier weights. Trust me. If you're going to go and compete in that, I understand. I completely get it. At one point, that's kind of where I thought I was going to end up going because I was so fixated on the gym. I thought, you can go and do this and really show yourself against your enemies. Now that is never going to happen. And if you're going to be on stage in that, I'm not saying I'm saying yeah, okay, but people do it, and people will always continue to do that. And I get that's part of that lifestyle. So I'm not going to say that's absolutely fine, but it's just about absolutely as fine as you can get when you're talking about this sort of stuff. Is that when you're living that lifestyle, yeah, of course it could involve it. If you're like me, you suffer from anxiety, you're susceptible to intrusive thoughts or suicidal thoughts, depression, sleep problems, eating disorder or appetite issues, you don't want to touch this stuff, okay? It's not for you. I'm not going to say it never will be for you, but take it as good as a word from what I've just said. Look at me now. I'm never going to get that back. Like I'm 12 stone now. So what was the point? That's the pretty annoying thing. So there you go. So yeah, this has been a fun beat episode. I wanted to come on and talk about this sort of stuff because I know that not a lot of people talk about this sort of stuff, and I know it's important to talk about this sort of stuff, and to know that there's somebody out there that if you're struggling, there's somebody out there that you can talk to. And I know it's hard to talk about some of these points because there's people that is incredibly passionate about what they do and their lifestyle that they have, and they don't want any bad light or any bad press brought onto this sort of stuff. And I understand that and I respect that and I totally get that. But we have to be able to continue or at least start these conversations because they're so important. I'm going to leave that topic there, just there. And that's probably the last time that I want to talk about it because it's not a part of me that I'm proud of. It's good to remember, but yeah, that's fine with that. And let's say no more heat on that sort of the subject. So what I would say is, and this is going to sound so contradictory, it's so hypocritical of me, is try and eat a nice balanced diet. That's something that I'm focusing on just now. Like I said, I'm on this kind of spiritual journey just now, and I'm understanding a lot of good things. What works really well for me, what cheers me up, the foods that I eat. I'm back eating, speaking of the gym, we're back eating my famous overnight oats. My God, they make me feel good every single day. They put a smile on my face. I love fucking eating them. So, stuff like that. It's really fun to get back into that sort of stuff. It's just like, it's like nighttime meals. Like I went and made myself like a really nice stew there today and it was shit. And you're like, oh, what was the point? I could have just ate now. I'm joking. Don't. Sorry, I'm having a little bit of a laugh at this episode. I wanted to be a little bit more laid back and candid on the camera as well. So, yeah. Well, I'm going to come back on and do a proper a saying that I keep on that I've used is good food will equal a good mood, and that is so true. And maybe in a couple of weeks' time, once I've got my diet back under control, I can talk to you about what I've been eating. Maybe we'll put in a little bit of size. Who knows? And then we can maybe do an episode called "Good Food Equals Good Mood." Yeah, with your host Andrew Willox here on the Borderline Podcast. Oh, I could have ended it there, you bastard. Okay. I was actually going to end it there, now I can't. Yeah, okay. What's coming up on the Borderline Podcast soon? You're going to have got a good couple of guest episodes coming on as well. Simon Dwan's coming up as well, that you've heard him speak about. Really looking forward to that one. If you are watching me on YouTube, hello to start off with. And if you do have a YouTube account and you are looking through that at this time of watching it, go and just hit the like button. And if you could subscribe, that would mean the world to me because it really helps me get on the algorithm. To everybody that's listening on Spotify and all your other streaming services, thank you very much once again. And I can honestly tell you the last couple of episodes are, I said I wasn't paying too much attention to statistics in other episode. I have been this last couple of weeks, and I can tell you they are on the rise with something stupid like 338%. Over the last 30 days or something like that, and that's just taken place in the last 14 days. So honestly, you make my life really, really, really fucking cool. So until the next time, this has been the Borderline Podcast with your host, Andrew Willox. Good night.